What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fight Junkeez. It's a beautiful, beautiful Thursday in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I got an awesome guest today. This man is a complete savage. Even when you look at him, you might say, man, he looks like a friendly guy, but he will rip your limbs completely off your body and beat you and your friends with them. But he won't do that. Today, I have an amazing jiu-jitsu expert with 10th Planet, and his name is Jordan. Where's no gi?
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up, bud?
It's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, anytime I meet a 10th Planet guy, and we'll get into some of the controversy back in the the day when it came to like gi and no gi, but
there still is a lot. Still is a lot. It's an ongoing controversy, ongoing debate. But the no gi side is starting to win, kind of like with the landslide, man. Everybody's starting to realize that no gi is the way. It's the current meta.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, how many times you go to fight someone, they take their shirt off in the parking lot? That's kind of similar to,
gi makes sense if you're on like the East Coast, or like if wherever you live is very cold.
Like New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, people are wearing big jackets. Then I understand the gi being for self-defense. Still, though, if I'm fighting somebody, I want my grips to be there 100% of the time. Like, I always make a joke, like, if we're fighting butt naked in an elevator, I'm still going to beat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need any clothes. I don't need any space. I just need to get connection to you. And if I'm connected to you, it's over, bro. I know how to grab your elbows. I know how to grab your wrist. I know how to grab your neck. No, unless you're missing an arm or a limb, what I mean? Those are always going to be there. So, like, the gi, that's the one thing that I always had a problem with the gi is, like, you resort to your training in self-defense situations and in like really, really tense situations, you resort to your training.
Yeah, muscle memory.
Muscle memory is important, man. And if you're reaching for grips and collars and those grips and collars may or may not be there, that's going to be a problem, Like, I want my muscle memory to be always there. Whether they have a jacket on or not, I know how to grab your elbow. Your elbow's always there,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to have you in. Jiu-jitsu is slowly becoming one of the one human superpowers that we can actually achieve. Jocko, who I respect fully, Jocko Willing. Shout out to Jocko. I was also in Iraq the same time as you, sir. I'd like to get you on Fight Junkeez one day. So little clip for Fight Junkeez. Jocko's a complete savage, but he says it's a superpower.
Literally,
and I believe it is. We also have my producer, normally my engineer and producer on set. Yeah, from Bizarre Junkeez, Austin. What's up, Austin?
How you doing? I was just drilling darces all morning, and now here I am talking about jiu-jitsu again.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So Austin just recently, he used to wrestle in high school and, got away from it. He's a dad and a husband. But, he's gotten into jiu-jitsu in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's been great.
Nice.
It's been, like this morning, I woke up and I was like, I feel awful. And then, like, I rolled once and I was like, I still feel awful, but I feel good awful now. Like, it's just so good. Yeah,
jiu-jitsu is one of the few things that forces you to be in the moment. You know what I mean? You can't be thinking about, like, what was happening the morning of or what's going to be going on later on, or else you're going to get choked out, man. You have to be in the moment, and I think that's what gravitates a lot of people to jiu-jitsu. Because it doesn't matter what stresses or what's going on in your daily life, you can just zone out and, like, zone into the moment, so
100%. Yeah, I don't have any. My phone's away, my watch is off. All I'm thinking about is, how do I not get choked right now?
How do I not die?
Yeah.
I love it.
The game of death, man. It's beautiful, bro. It's beautiful.
I first got introduced to jiu-jitsu at almost daily when I was in Germany. I had a guy in my squad, Henry Salas, a good friend of mine, 17 years now, deployed with him. But he is the biggest Mexican you've ever seen. I mean, and this guy's and he was a purple belt back then. Okay. And we all didn't know barely what jiu-jitsu was, but
But he did.
Yeah, he did. So our platoon sergeant at the time, Southerly, would say well, let's go to the gym, throw some mats down, and we'll train hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
And being that we had this guy, I was $160 maybe, 150, and he was like 270, just savage.
Oh man.
Like 5 years old, and he just beat the dog shit out. I mean, for 3 years we just trained with Salas on and off. And
270 and a purple belt?
Savage.
Oh
dangerous.
man, well yeah, that's a dangerous man right there, dude.
Salas, no disrespect, I love you. It wasn't like a healthy 270.
Still though,
Yeah.
still, man.
Love you, bro. Don't fuck me up. But
270 is 270, bro. It's a lot of weight, dude. If you're a purple belt, you know how to use it, man. You don't have to be the top tier necessarily looking athlete. You have the knowledge to be able to smash somebody, bro. You just lay on top of somebody. You know how to use your weight, smother them. If you're 270 pounds, it's a massive problem, dude.
Bro. So bringing up when I kind of was introduced to jiu-jitsu so many years ago, I wanted to get into you. Like, you're 26, right?
Yes, I am. I'm 26 for a few more days. I'm turning 27 on Monday.
Bro, you're a Taurus.
No, I'm a Gemini. I'm 22nd.
Sorry.
22nd. I don't really believe in all of that.
Yeah,
but,
Me neither. But I'm a bull, man. I'm a bull.
People tell me that I'm a Gemini and I have Taurus traits or Taurus qualities because I'm on the cusp. Or
I just turned 37 May 2nd.
Yeah.
And I'm a Taurus, so I thought maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways.
May 22nd. May 22nd. Right.
This was about fighting.
Way to fuck up the podcast, Bobby.
All right, we threw in some.
Yeah, I've just heard that I have like depression, or my sun is depression and my rising is anxiety or something like that.
Man, I don't get that far into it, bro.
Yeah. All right, what I was trying to say is, you're not young, but you're not old by any means. What got you into jiu-jitsu? And like, tell me about like your come up, because I watch a lot of Tom DeBlas. Tom's from Jersey. He's big in the helping people learn how to defend themselves. He's a big advocate for like people not getting bullied. And I got bullied a lot in high school. And it kind of turned me into more of a savage back then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were you looking into my backstory a little bit? Maybe you found some stuff. Yeah, that's how I got into jiu-jitsu as well, man. I got bullied really bad when I was younger.
Okay, can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of kids that may watch this and they're gonna see like a high-level jiu-jitsu competitor. Like, I'm an Iraq combat vet and I was scared every day in Iraq, but I went to boot camp and I proved to myself I could do things that I never thought I would do because I was a scared little kid who got picked on.
Yeah.
And now I want to prove to everybody else, like you may be that kid now and it's okay to have fear, but you got to use that fear as a superpower to fuel everything that you want. Man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So get into that.
So, not to be like too get into it, but when I was in middle school, man, I got bullied like real bad. I left my first middle school. My first middle school is called Brown Junior High School. It was full of a bunch of like brown kids, brown and Hispanic kids. And I was like, man, these kids are bullying me. I'm going to go to the nicer school, Burkholder. And I went there for 7th and 8th grade and the white kids bullied me way worse, bro. I was like, oh man, I guess everybody just bullies me. It has nothing to do with skin color. People are just mean.
Yeah.
And then I got to high school and then my dad, a little bit of a backstory as well. My dad got his jiu-jitsu blue belt from Gustavo Dantes in Las Vegas in 1994, I believe, like way long ago, bro. Like pioneer, like nobody was really trained in jiu-jitsu then. My dad found out about the UFC. It might have been 96, might have been the year I was born, but in the early and mid 90s, my dad got his jiu-jitsu blue belt. And so I grew up watching the UFC, like UFC 1, Hoist Gracie, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, like Ken Shamrock, all these guys, man. I was like watching, I knew who they were. They were my household names. I never liked any type of sports with a ball. I was never good at it, like football, baseball, basketball. I didn't like watching normal sports, but I was watching UFC every Saturday, like at a time where it wasn't really common in the early 2000s, And so I grew up watching MMA and knowing about jiu-jitsu, but I didn't really think it was for me. My dad put me in wrestling when I was like 10. My first match, I got fucking suplexed right on my neck. I was like, I quit, Dad, I quit. And he was like, no, you can't quit. And I was like, no, Dad, I quit. This isn't for me.
Bro, I
was in the culture. I was in the culture, I grew up, my dad was like, Jordan, let me put you in a triangle choke. Let me put you in an Americana. I was like fucking 10, 11 years old, I
love it.
But yeah, flash forward back to high school. I was getting bullied real bad, man. I had real bad grades too. Graduating high school, I tell people to this day, graduating was the hardest thing I ever had to do as a human being. Even like getting my brown belt in jiu-jitsu and competing at a high level in jiu-jitsu, that's a breeze compared to going to what I was going through in high school. I had like real bad anxiety and depression, man. I just like would wake up. I literally would throw up in the morning. I was so like depressed and anxious to go to high school. And then one day I was walking home, man, And then there was a bunch of kids that like claimed to be in a group that were part of the Bloods. And the way you would get initiated into their gang is like just jumping somebody for no reason, like beating up a random person, you know?
They still do that to this day a lot.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I was walking home, man. I was walking home to my neighborhood, and then these kids started just messing with me, my cousin Brandon, and my best friend Blake. And long story short, push came to shove. They all started to attack us. And when they started to attack us, we were heavily outnumbered, bro. There was like 10, 11 kids, and it was me and my best friend Blake and my cousin Brandon. And I remember vividly, like I remember it like the back of my hand. I wasn't afraid. I'd never been in a situation like that where like I was in a full-fledged fight. You know, I'd never really been in a fight before. And when I got into a fight and I was outnumbered, I wasn't afraid at all, bro. Before the fight happened, I was like, I'll fight all of you guys one-on-one. Like this is unfair. Like you guys want to fight me? Sure, I'll fight everybody one-on-one.
So you got mad.
I was mad, bro. I was like, you guys are trying to fight me for no reason. Like, what's your problem? Boom. I got hit behind my head, and then I started fighting these kids. I was boxed in. I got beat up pretty bad. I started walking away. And then my cousin Brandon ran, bro. So it was just me and my best friend Blake.
Shit.
My cousin Brandon ran away.
Damn, Brandon. Where you at, Brandon?
But after that, man, I kind of was like, dude, like, man, I'm failing all of my classes. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get older. Everybody's like telling me, like, what are you going to do? Like, you know, that's how you always are in high school. You don't know what you're going to do. Everybody's like, oh, you got to go to college. Da, 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 da. Everybody was bullying me. I was like freaking out, man. And so I was like, dude, and everybody on a little bit more of a backstory. Everybody on my dad's side of the family was all on drugs, and I took the DARE program. So I was always told drugs are drugs and drugs are bad. And so I didn't think any type of drugs would help me. So I didn't smoke any weed. I didn't do anything. I was like straight edge, no drugs at all. And then I started training jiu-jitsu, and I thought I was going to like striking a lot more. I liked Anderson Silva. I liked Chuck Liddell. I didn't really like wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys. And so I started training striking and MMA and jiu-jitsu at the same time because I knew the importance of jiu-jitsu. I was like, you have to learn jiu-jitsu if you're going to be an MMA fighter, but I'm going to like striking a lot more. And then 6 months in, I'm training with these guys, these adult men. I'm sparring with them. And if I land 1 or 2 strikes, they would get pissed and they would start trying to light me up, dude. And they would light me up. I was 15 years old at the time. And then I would roll with that same guy and I would strangle him just ruthlessly against his will. And I didn't even really think I was that good at jiu-jitsu. I was just like watching videos occasionally, you know, studying. And I was like, wow, this jiu-jitsu shit really works well.
It's crazy how
it's
it
a
works.
superpower, man. This guy's way bigger and stronger and older than me. And I just strangled him really easily against his will.
So you got obsessed.
I was interested. And then my coach at the time showed me a lesson. He was like, okay, guys, we're going to do something. It's called 10th Planet. So we're going to do the rubber guard, gogoplata, and omoplata. And I was always very flexible.
I was just going to ask how flexible you are.
I've always been very flexible, and I've always been able to use my legs very well. My dad taught me to use my legs as hands. You know, that was one of the things he taught me about jiu-jitsu. And then I did the gogoplata and the omoplata, and I was just fascinated. I was like, wow, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen, dude. Like, what else can you do from rubber guard? And my coach was like, that's it. It's just gogoplata and omoplata. There's not really anything else you could do. This guy, Eddie Bravo, does it. It's called 10th Planet. You could look it up. And I was like, okay. And I went home, and I looked up 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, started looking up got fascinated about the 10th Planet system, started to learn everything about the rubber guard, was really, really obsessed. And then I started listening to Eddie, and Eddie has a lot to say. Eddie's a very, very, talks a lot. He's a big talker.
Sure
you know?
I am too. Me and Eddie would have a blast together.
Yeah, Eddie should come on here. You guys would have a great time. But I started listening to Eddie talk and to Joe Rogan talk, and 2012 was the time. And he's a really, really big, avid marijuana advocate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember him listening to him like, oh, marijuana doesn't kill your brain cells. It doesn't give you cancer. It helps depression. It makes you more creative. And I was furious. I was like, this guy's lying. I look up to this guy, and he's a drug addict. Like, he's a fucking stoner. Like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that for when you're a kid and that mindset.
I was so upset, man. I was so upset, dude. I was like, dude.
My hero's
a drug addict? No, bro. Like, I can't believe this idiot. And so I started, like, there's no way what this guy is saying is true. And so I have the internet, and so I start Google searching everything he's saying to disprove him out of anger. Like, this guy's an idiot. Obviously, this isn't true. Let me prove it. And then boom, I go down an entire rabbit hole of like self-discovery. Like, oh wow, I've been being lied to my entire life. Like, there's all this stuff out there that could potentially help me, and like is like I've bro.
Especially you with anxiety.
Bro, I needed it as a kid, bro. And I mean, I'm not recommending for kids to smoke weed. I highly, if you don't need marijuana, most people don't need marijuana, bro. Most people don't need.
Well, I have a friend whose son is epileptic, was having like 100 seizures a day.
Yeah.
They moved to Colorado. He's getting some tinctures, and
I was able to get off
lives,
antidepressants by smoking weed.
Yes, man.
Like it helped me a ton.
It helps a lot of people, bro. But if you don't need marijuana, then don't smoke it as a kid.
I don't smoke anymore. It actually does the opposite for me. It gives me anxiety.
It does different things for different people.
Different people, yeah.
Exactly.
I just, it's just straight meth. I just,
I stick to my uppers.
Yeah.
But
so you're diving into this. You're finding out.
I went down I got real deep into conspiracy theories. Found out that the moon landing was faked. It was all sorts of stuff, man. I was like, oh wow, dude. And then
he hosts a show called Bizarre Junkeez.
Yeah, I don't go that deep on conspiracy. Like we do like paranormals, cryptids. I covered. Have you ever heard of Operation Starfish Prime?
Whoa, no.
That was like in the 50s. They were launching nukes up above Hawaii.
Starfish Prime?
That's what I'm saying.
Sounds
bro.
like what was that movie with Will Smith? They went and there was a big starfish at the end that was killing everybody.
What? What?
What is that movie?
Is that a real movie?
There's 4 of us, and somebody's got to know. Yeah, there's like Harley Quinn. And
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
There was a starfish.
I don't know. I never watched it. I heard it was
the
awful.
second one.
But yeah, I talk about. I don't really do conspiracies because I'm not trying to be
I'll
Alex
send it to you.
Jones. I'm not trying to go that deep.
Yeah,
but
no.
I do occasionally touch on it. But like I do like cryptids, paranormal, ghost stories, like haunting stuff like that. So
I wish
I'm not
did.
too big into like the paranormal and like the ghost stories and stuff like that. But the government conspiracies. I mean, my dad, that's another thing too. My dad's always been telling me like the government is not your friend. The government is out to get you. The government does not care about you. And so I kind of always heard that from my dad. And then when I discovered Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan, I got real deep into it. And I was like,
he's not lying, dude.
He's not lying.
I went and fought for a war that didn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's unfortunate.
Thank you,
dude.
though. I got lots of gas.
Yeah. But with that being said, anybody who's been in the service, anybody who's been in the military, I have massive respect for, dude. Thank you for anybody who's put in time in the military. I have massive respect for veterans. My dad's a veteran as well. My dad was in the Navy, so
awesome.
any veteran I have major respect for.
My dad.
It's not a diss to any type of veterans, but the government is a little corrupt.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with us.
It's different, exactly. It's
the
different.
science project.
Some people get upset with me sometimes. They're like, "Oh, well, does that mean you don't like military people?" And I'm like, "No, man.
The military people didn't decide to go to war.
They're not the ones doing this, bro. Yeah, but
I appreciate.
Just had to throw that out there.
So you dive into this stuff, and then you're starting to kind of open your brain. I didn't even
age. Yeah,
that's pretty good. I think like you're
definitely
thinking
helps
outside
me,
the box.
It saved my life, man. I have 10th Planet. That's another reason why I have 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu on my arm, right? There's over 150 10th Planets worldwide. I train at 10th Planet Las Vegas with Coach Casey, but my 10th Planet tattoo says 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu because 10th Planet Jiu Jitsu and Eddie Bravo revolutionized the face of Jiu Jitsu. He's like a Bruce Lee figure, dude. He completely changed the game forever. What Bruce Lee did for Jiu Jitsu and for the sport Bruce Lee, Eddie Bravo. What Eddie Bravo
Him
did,
too,
one and the same.
Yeah, man. It was like what Bruce Lee did, man. Bruce Lee changed the face of martial arts forever. That's the same thing that Eddie Bravo did. Eddie completely changed the face of martial arts, man. Like people don't really realize what that guy did. I think when he passes away, it's really gonna be like people are gonna realize what the implications of the ramifications he did on the sport, man. Like
when do you think that it expanded?
Everything.
Like I know, and for some of the listeners, like if you don't know too much about like 10th Planet, can you explain why there was a big between the no-gi and like that everybody doesn't know if they're not in that world,
So yeah, 10th jiu-jitsu is traditionally done in the gi. It was like monopolized by the Gracies. The Gracies kind of controlled jiu-jitsu. They were like the royal family of jiu-jitsu. If you did jiu-jitsu, you were usually Brazilian, and it was always done in the gi. That's how it was for the longest time. And then comes Eddie Bravo into the ADCC. He was a massive, massive underdog, brown belt, American, stoner, and then Royler Gracie at the time had never lost a match and never even had a point scored on him. And everybody thought if Royler was going to lose in jiu-jitsu, it was going to be to another black belt, and it was going to be another Brazilian. And now here comes this American guy, brown belt, and he submits him with a triangle choke, completely shocks the world. And then he's like, okay, that's it. I'm retired. I'm dropping the gi.
Yeah.
Said Planet Jiu Jitsu, son. And that pissed a lot of people off because he didn't even, I mean, I love Eddie Bravo, but a lot of people don't know this as well. Eddie didn't win ADCC. Eddie didn't win his next match against Leo Vieira. Leo Vieira spanked Eddie, bro. Bad. Watch that match, man. Eddie didn't get tapped, but Eddie got spanked, man. It's a fun match to watch.
But because of what he did to
because
Gracie,
of him tapping Hoyler, he still had enough respect on his name to make his own system. But when he first did it, a lot of people thought it was a fluke. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this stuff doesn't work. You're crazy. You're just renaming moves that already were out there." Like there's this guy Nino Schembri that was really mad at Eddie Bravo, saying that he's been doing all this stuff and Eddie just stole it and was renaming it. So a lot of the Brazilians were mad at Eddie Bravo because he was essentially doing what they were doing, but making money from it his own way. And he was trying, but what he was really doing, bro, was trying to push the sport forward. He at the time, before his ADCC match, he thought he was going to have to go fight in Pride, right? And so he was afraid that he was going to have to go fight in Pride, and he was seeing all these guys in the gi get beat up off of their backs, and his instructor, Jean-Jacques Machado, does not have a hand. So Jean-Jacques Machado, his whole style of jiu-jitsu is based off of overhooks and underhooks. It's not based off of grabbing the gi, really. That's why Jean-Jacques Machado did so well in ADCC when he went. And Jean-Jacques Machado's student was Eddie Bravo, and at this time, Eddie thought he was going to go have to fight in Japan to make money. And so he was afraid, and that's where the whole system had developed from, of him controlling people off of his back and clinching people. And so he wanted to make it so that you could submit somebody in MMA without the gi. And so instead of grabbing the grips and collars of the up there, he would use his feet and he would control the posture. And that's where the rubber guard got birthed from, you know? He and he didn't win ADCC. He did well at ADCC. He beat Hoyler, and so he didn't have to go fight in Pride. He just was like, dude,
that was it.
Fuck fighting, bro. I'm not gonna go out to Japan.
It's like winning a gold medal in jiu-jitsu.
Exactly, man. I'm just gonna start my own system.
That's Kron's dad? Kron Gracie Hoyler?
No. Kron's dad is Hickson Gracie.
Hickson
Gracie.
To beat one of them, like you think of Gracie's everywhere. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie fighter.
Except for Kron. I feel like that win wasn't hard.
Why did he look so bad, bro? That was really.
We'll get in. We'll get into it because he's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Heart, man. That broke my heart. I wish he would have threw up some rubber guard, bro. That's a perfect example of, like, I was screaming at him, dude. Like, throw up mission control, pull your legs up, just try rubber guard the entire time.
But they're totally against that.
He looked like Gracies do not use any type of rubber guard, bro. The Gracies are still like
stuck in '98.
I mean. They do a lot of they've adapted, but they just for some reason really don't like 10th Planet, man.
When I talk to, I have a bunch of
I mean, not for some reason. It's because Eddie's beaten Hoyler twice now, essentially.
It's the
he didn't beat him the second time, but he dominated that match, bro. There was no submission, so it was technically a draw, but everybody knows Eddie won that second rematch.
Well, some of my Navy SEAL friends, and a lot of my military friends, when it comes to like close quarter combat, which is like, clearing buildings and transitioning from rooms to hallways, and they always say, stick to the basics. The basics will let you win the fight. Stick to the basics, master the basics. And I think when it comes to like the Gracie era, which is still kind of among us now, but like that main like 90s to like 2001, when it was just great before Eddie did his thing with 10th Planet, you could see that Kron Gracie in his last fight still does the basics, and they're tremendous in a lot of aspects. But when you're fighting a full-rounded MMA fighter in a cage, I think you need to do more things like rubber guard in different positions from your back. And
you guys will probably know the names of the fighters. I'm blanking on the guys' names right now, but there was the guy was making his debut. He was a Brazilian kid. And then he was fighting an undefeated.
Oh, the 16-0 Russian guy.
Bro, that kid had a tremendous guard. That kid won.
From the same card.
From the same card.
Yeah, that dude's.
It was a stark contrast.
Savage.
Contrast of what the guard
on 5 days' notice
like and what the guard didn't look like.
I mean, everything from a knee bar to like how many
he was
a Darce choke and triangles,
Kimuras, and he was pulling it all 3 rounds too.
And like you said, let's not overlook the fact it was his fucking debut
On 5 days' notice.
16-0 Russian.
Yes, that kid won the fight, bro. I don't care what anybody says. That kid won that fight, man. Like, it's really sad to me that they don't award submission attempts more in MMA fights, dude. Because if they awarded,
I think he got a bonus.
Yeah, Dana told him he was getting his win. Like, they were going to pay him the win.
Do we know his name? What was that guy's name?
Pedro?
I'll find out.
Man, shout out to that guy, bro. That guy made jiu-jitsu look great. And
do you know if he's a 10th Planet guy?
Look all right. I do not think he's a 10th Planet guy. He's a Brazilian kid.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
All right
now. He looked great, man.
Well,
that's what the guard should look like in an MMA fight. That's what the guard can look like and should look like in an MMA fight. If you're drilling and you're actually practicing what you should be doing in a live situation, bro. Like, he was controlling controlling the shoulders, blocking at the elbows, bringing his knees in, shooting triangles, inverting. The entire time he was attacking.
If he didn't have that rubber, he would have got...
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was Diego Lopez.
Man, shout out to Diego Lopez. He looked great that night. That was a tremendous fight, bro.
Savage. I think it was the first fight on the main card. I think.
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
And complete. Yeah.
Set the tone for the entire.
I'm glad
card.
you brought that up because there's a lot of. I mean, I'm not in there. You know, it's different. Every fight's different. But yeah, if he did not have a guard at that level and a well-rounded jiu-jitsu, he would have got He would have beat up way badder than. This guy that's what he does. He's like a Khabib. These guys from Russia, they're like jiu-jitsu is over here. They're more like wrestling, pressure, and just ground and pound.
Yeah.
This guy schooled that kid. I mean, I thought he won.
I thought I even went into that fight. I was like, oh man, he's fighting one of these Russian undefeated guys. I feel bad for this kid. He's debuting. Like, they're just feeding him to the wolves.
I was wondering why they did that, but now I know.
This poor kid, dude. They're just feeding him to the wolves, and then he comes out and he just
strangles the wolf.
Hell of a chin, bro.
Performance, man. Oh my god, that kid was a scrapper, dude. I'm a big fan of that guy. What's his name again?
Diego Lopez.
Diego Lopez, man. I can't wait to watch him fight again, dude.
Diego Lopez. Come to Vegas, man. Let's get together.
You should get him on the show, dude.
Yeah.
That kid's...
we'll all go eat, some hibachi and talk some shit.
He's a prospect to watch.
So, you got into this because you had a rough, a lot of things that went on. Like, I think that's great. When did you really get in? Like, you went through the conspiracies. You learned a little bit more about Eddie Bravo. When did you say, like, this is what I'm doing?
So pretty quickly, I realized this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. At about like 16 years old, I pretty much realized that. I was like, maybe even at 15, dude. I really quickly, I was like, okay, this is what I was meant to do. Like, this is my calling. Like, because I had a lot of issues, man. I had my main 3 issues was I was afraid to talk to girls. I was having a lot of girl problems. I was failing all of my classes, didn't know how I was going to make money when I got older, and I was getting bullied really bad, and people were like, I got jumped. And so I was like, people were essentially bullying me so bad I was getting attacked against my will. And so at that moment, I realized I'm not afraid to fight. And if I start fighting, I can make money. And if I'm fighting, I'll probably be able to attract a girl eventually. You know what I mean? So that was my thought as a 15-year-old kid. And so I was all in. And then once I found out about 10th Planet, I had somebody to look up to. You know what I mean? I had like a really positive mentor. At the time, the Joe Rogan Experience was talking a lot about anxiety and depression. He's talking a lot about mental health at the time. He doesn't really talk about it as much anymore. But at the time, if you go back on the show, it was a really, really big talking point. And so it helped me a ton as a kid. And Joe Rogan, shout out to Joe Rogan, shout out to Eddie Bravo. They saved my life, literally, bro. Like, I didn't know them personally at the time, but they gave me something to live for, bro. 10th Planet literally gave me a reason to live at the time. And it made me fascinated and obsessed, and it gave me a good avenue as a kid, man, and it saved my life. But my parents didn't really realize. It was like, as soon as I turned 18, my parents were like, okay, cool, you graduated. Now what are you going to do? You have to go get a job.
Like, I'm going to go fight.
And I was like, I'm going to go fight. Yeah, what do you mean? Like, I'm really good, Mom and Dad. Like, I'm going to go fight. And they were like, oh, son, that's cute.
Little Caesars is hiring.
That's cute. Like, we watched, like, my dad was like, son, you're not Chuck Liddell. Like, you're not.
But you also fight. I mean? You're a pro fighter too, right?
I'm not a pro fighter for MMA, but I just fought on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu card, which is a pro card. It was on the UFC Fight Pass.
Have you done any full MMA?
Yeah. I fought MMA in 2019. And I'm getting back in MMA. I've had a little bit of a hiatus, but
our co-host, O'Day Osborne, UFC flyweight.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a part of Fight Junk. He's got a possible fight. He's been busy.
Nice.
He's been out of town, but I would love to see what would you fight, like 145? How much you weigh right now?
45.
You're about 158.
What? Damn, you're good, dude.
Yeah.
That's right on the nose. Yep. Right on the nose, 158. Yep.
I'm good with the eyeballs.
I'm training over at Extreme Couture right now. I got a great group around me that I'm getting ready to get back in MMA. I'm training with Jake Shields and Patchy Mix and Dan Ige.
Shout out all those guys. Eric Nixick, coach, what's up, big bro?
Dennis Davis, all those guys, Extreme Couture. They're a great crew over there, man. They treat me like. As soon as I came in there, man, I knew they were the right crew for me, dude.
I love it over there, man.
They're my MMA crew anyways. You know, I train my jiu-jitsu at 10th Planet Las Vegas, but as far as my MMA and my MMA specific training, I go over to Extreme Couture with Jake Shields, man. I have a small group over there that I train with. Ferret, the Basharat brothers, Ferret and Javid Basharat, they're in there, the undefeated guys. They're some really good guys to keep your eyes on if you don't know them in the UFC. We're all around the same size, man. So I'm training with all guys where they're all telling me too, like the Basharat brothers, Javid and Farid, Patchy. They're like, dude, why haven't you been fighting more often? Like, bro, you're in here with us, man. Like you know you're at that level. You just have to go out there and do it. So I have the right group around me. I'm gonna get back in MMA fighting. I just had a car accident, which is another thing that kind of derailed me for a little bit. You know,
I saw those pictures, man. God bless you that you're all right, bro. That was you got a hard head, bro. Thankfully.
Yeah, man.
I saw the pictures on
the paramedics were shocked, bro. I hit my head. I didn't have my seatbelt on like an idiot. I hit my head straight into the windshield. My whole skull was exposed, and then the paramedics were like, "How long were you knocked out for?" And I was like, I didn't get knocked out. And they were like, we understand that, you know, you're in a delirious state right now. Like, where were you born? What's your mom's name? What hospital you were born in? Asking me all sorts of questions. What's your hometown? I was answering them all.
Really, bro, I'm good. Shut the fuck up.
Good.
I didn't get knocked out, dude.
I gotta get to class, man.
They were like looking at each other like, what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense.
Give me some duct tape and get me out of here.
I was like, yeah, man, I fight. I train with high-level fighters. I'm used to getting hit in my head, unfortunately. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, we'll find out in about 30 years.
You know, but this isn't too bad besides the cut. This massive laceration in my head.
How far did that push you back? About 3 months?
That happened February 20th, and I haven't competed since then. So I'm trying to get back into it, but I'm looking for the right competition. I'm gonna have a jiu-jitsu super fight to get my feet wet again, get back into competition. I compete a lot for high rollers.
I saw.
Yeah. Let's talk about high rollers a little bit as well, man.
Yeah, that's great. They're in Vegas.
Jiu-jitsu. Yes, they are in Vegas, kind of. They had a HQ that was in Vegas. They were doing a lot of shows out of. Every month they were doing a show, but they just recently left their HQ, and they're in the process of finding a new place in Vegas, and they're on the road right now.
Oh, okay.
So their next show is in Phoenix, then the one after that is in San Diego. That's the one I have my eyes on, is the San Diego card.
There you go, Lana. That's something that she might want to be a part of. The High Rollers, have you heard of it? No. Yeah, it's a bunch of high-level jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
And they just bake out and smoke the whole time and but it's like a UFC fight, but everyone's doing jiu-jitsu and they're just all high.
I have a friend who films for it when they're in town.
Yeah,
because I do videography.
It's a big
work, so I have
marijuana
a friend
event.
who films it.
Nice.
I love marijuana. I'm down to smoke out anybody.
Yeah. You definitely got to check out High Rollers then. High Rollers' whole thing is because there's so many athletes that use cannabis, but it's always been like a taboo subject or like a touchy subject. Like there's been a lot of people that don't think you should smoke weed if you're an athlete, you know, but a lot of athletes, doesn't matter what sport you do, Michael Phelps, right? Everybody's smoking weed. And so what High Rollers is trying to do is shine a light on that to the public and show that you can be a high level athlete and still consume cannabis, you know what I mean? And in fact, that cannabis actually helps athletes a lot. So they're trying to change the stigma against stoners and just stoners in general, bro. They're trying to make it, people realize stoners aren't just lazy people that are sitting down. Marijuana doesn't make you lazy.
No, if you're a lazy piece of shit, it's because you're just a lazy piece of shit.
You're gonna be lazy, bro.
Facts.
But if you're a high level athlete, marijuana can help your inflammation. It can help you a lot, dude. It can help you recover. The recovery aspects for marijuana in high level athletes is crazy, man. Like it helps so much with inflammation.
It's a lifesaver.
It's
medicine.
A lifesaver.
I have a friend, shout out, I won't say his name, but you know, he had a pretty bad issue with alcohol, for a while, a couple DUIs, and he's been sober like 9 years now from alcohol, but he's a heavy weed smoker. Awesome dad, a couple little girls, goes to work, union guy, busts his ass, such a big savage dude. Like, you talk about like the guys who show up at the park back in the day in high school at Throwdown, this motherfucker threw down. Complete savage. I've known him since we went to preschool together. But he always tells me, like, especially when I was like going through my addiction, like, why don't you smoke? Get away from the other stuff. He's like, Bobby, it's medicine. Like, it'll save you. So I've seen firsthand people go from like, I'm an Iraq vet, man. I got PTSD. I went through tons of stuff. I've had, unfortunately, a lot of friends take their life and, lose their life, even if they're still living because of these issues. Yeah. It doesn't work personally for me because of my own physiology. I'm telling you, like, we need to get that out there. Well, marijuana, especially in the veteran community, will help save lives. Yes. It will. I cannot say enough, because get away from the pills, get away from the drugs, get away from the alcohol. Marijuana, man, I'm a huge advocate. Even though I don't consume it, that's just personal to me. I used to. Just gives me anxiety.
It's different for everyone, man. It's just different things for different people. It's not for everyone, but the people it's for, it can tremendously help.
So speaking of help, we spoke earlier a little bit about, we didn't dive too deep into it, but the climate nowadays, every single day, shout out Tom DeBlass, I see posts on social media of kids getting beat up, kids getting bullied. Yeah. Just so many tragic things. And I'm a father. I have 2 little girls. Like, back in the day, it wasn't as much. I think social media didn't exist, when I was in school in the early 2000s, late 90s. But how do you think on a jiu-jitsu level, like if you could talk to the kids or send a clip out there to millions of kids, what would you do since you kind of did it? Like, how would you tell them, like, I know it's scary. I know stepping into the room on the first time as a kid or a 37-year-old guy who's out of shape, I know it's scary. Like, how do you get people into the jiu-jitsu, onto the mat to save their life? How would you do that?
So I would tell them that life is hard. Life is hard. No matter what, life is hard. You know what I mean? Life is difficult. You have to work to put a smile on. You have to work in order to be able to be happy in life, And jiu-jitsu forces the struggle out of you, forces you to be uncomfortable, and teaches you how to be comfortable in the uncomfort, which is life. You know what I mean? Like, I was so uncomfortable as a kid, man. I was throwing up in the morning. I would wake up and I couldn't handle life, bro. As soon as I thought about life, I would throw up. I was so uncomfortable. I just couldn't handle it, man. And then going into jiu-jitsu, learning how to deal with like a really, really sweaty, heavy, massive guy on top of you, smashing you, choking you against your will. And then it like we talked about earlier, it forces you to zone out and zone in. You have to be one in the moment, and you have to learn how to overcome with whatever's facing you in the moment. And a lot of the time it's not fun, bro. Especially when you first start, it's almost always not going to be fun, man. It's going to suck more than it's going to be fun. But when you obsess about that, you start to, with jiu-jitsu especially, you get to realize the power of your own brain, bro, and how you can resolve these situations that look unresolvable. You feel so trapped. You feel like there's no way out. And then you find a way out. And you're like, holy shit, I did it. I got out. I did it, bro. Like, and then through little battles like that, it allows you to get through life much easier. It allows you to have patience everywhere. It allows you to have self-control everywhere. It allows you to just deal with the pressures of life through the pressures of the mat.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's what I would tell people.
I also think there's another aspect a lot of people don't know, because if they look at fighters and they look at jiu-jitsu, they go, oh shit, those are a bunch of tough guys. And some of the most high-level fighters, jiu-jitsu competitors, Navy SEALs, special operations people that I know are the most humble, chill,
They're teddy bears.
Bro, I've never met a guy who's like, yeah, man, I have 4 deployments, and just like arrogant. Just no arrogance at all. No ego, super humble. I think being in an environment where everybody is very similar, has, very like-minded goals.
Yes.
And they all are working toward the same thing. I just think that in itself, and maybe that could stop some of the bullying. Like all these kids that, are bullying are probably like getting beat by their parents, and they're acting out in other ways by beating other kids. And it's just a freaking vicious cycle, man.
Yeah, man.
And it's sad to see, man. It's scary. Like my kids are young, but I'm like, damn, I'm already thinking about private school, and so I just think jiu-jitsu and weed can save the world.
And mushrooms.
And podcasts.
And mushrooms. Those two.
Microdose, yeah. Yeah.
But
I actually I microdosed for a little while. In California, it became legal, and I tried it for PTSD. A lot of veterans do that shit.
That's one that really helps for PTSD. That can enact like long lasting results, whereas marijuana can like help you day to day. If you take a little mushrooms and you have the right experience, it can actually like help you through to real healing. You know what I mean? You can actually help you where you don't need to take the mushrooms later on. It's like taking mushrooms is like going to see a therapist, but the therapist is yourself, and you can't hide from your own bullshit. So like
I like that.
That's a clip right there if I've ever heard one.
Fuck yeah. Speaking of
Thinking about it, that's definitely a clip.
I have to ask you this. Because I hold it near and dear to me. My dad's a retired 9/11 first responder, with almost 30 years as a police officer. I grew up around the cops. I became military police sergeant, deployed, came back, became a Department of Defense corporal. So I support the blue, but lately there's been a lot of things that I don't necessarily support going on in that community. And I see your face. Trust me, I am pro first responder. I was for a very long time, but I'm just disappointed in the lack of accountability right now in those ranks. Jiu-jitsu, I think, and you can explain it better, is very important to first responders. Not just for them to go home, but to be able to assess a threat, a situation on ground, and handle it with the minimum of force necessary to get through that situation. What do you think when you look at some of these fat, lazy, out of shape cops? And I'm going to talk shit because I wore a uniform, and when I did, I had fucking discipline, and I looked like a goddamn cop should look. What would you say to these guys that, are getting hurt out there or hurting other people? I think they need to be on the mat.
Police need jiu-jitsu almost more than anybody in society, bro. Police, it's not even police need, bro. It should be mandatory. The fact that it's not mandatory for police to train jiu-jitsu is like absurd to me, bro. Your job is to get a resisting person's hands behind their back, and you don't practice getting a resisting person's hands behind their back on the daily. It's unbelievable to me, dude. It doesn't even make sense.
There's no, bro, I'm telling you, you go through like handcuffing techniques in like school, and then we do these mechanical advantage control hold techniques. They sound super cool, mock drills, but
you're not doing it every day though, bro.
No, we do it once.
You get like a certificate, or like you pass a class and you're like, oh yeah, you're certified now. Like what?
Yeah. And that's why cops are drawing their firearms and they're killing innocent people.
They're going straight to their belt. They're going straight to their weapons because they don't understand their first line of weapons, which is their body. They don't know how to use their body as a weapon, and so they have to rely on their little Batman belt.
Yeah. Or their mouths. I think the first thing is verbal judo, being able to use de-escalation techniques with your words.
Police are the worst at de-escalation, bro. They start screaming right away.
Get out of the car.
Bro, they start screaming right away.
But that goes back to the bullies again.
What?
The bullies and the egos.
Yeah.
If you are in a position of authority, and I say this because I wore chevrons and I had a lot of guys under me, and I also had very bad leadership. So like it comes full circle. You get the guy who has a shitty home life, so he goes out and he picks on the kid at school.
Yeah.
That kid, has to go through all that bullshit. Then either he turns bad or he turns into a superhero. Cops, if they're not happy, if they're still people, but if you look at yourself like a dirtbag and you're out of shape, you're not healthy, and then you got to go out and like supposedly protect people, the first thing you're going to do is revert back to your bad traits and hurt people.
Yes.
I don't know.
So I'm gonna shout out to a couple of organizations that I've worked with and go and revert back to High Rollers as well. High Rollers once a year does this event, and it's my favorite event all year, bro. It's my ADCC gold medal, bro. It's my like UFC championship. It's my favorite day of the year, bro. It's been 2 years in a row now. That's called Cops versus Stoners, right? it's my Olympics, bro. He just gave me the belt. I'm 2-0 against police officers.
Let's go.
I'm 2-0, bro.
That's great.
I love where this is going.
Cops versus Stoners is a collaboration with High Rollers and this foundation called Adopt a Cop, right? And Adopt a Cop is a great organization, and what they do is they sponsor jiu-jitsu gyms, and they have police be able to train there up until blue belt for free, right? So if your gym is like doing one of those Adopt a Cop sponsorships or whatever it is, however they're doing it, if your gym has the Adopt a Cop program, police officers can train there up until they get their blue belt for free because of the Adopt a Cop program. So that's tremendous. That's a great thing that Adopt a Cop is doing. So shout out to Adopt a Cop. And High Rollers wants to connect the two communities. You know, they want them to stop being so much enemies, and they also wanted to it's like a fundraiser for Adopt a Cop. So all the money for the Cops versus Stoners goes to Adopt a Cop and helps out the police. So it's a great event, and it's a jiu-jitsu event where active police officers have a jiu-jitsu match against active stoners, right? So guys who are actively smoking weed and doing jiu-jitsu has a submission-only match against a police officer who's also actively doing jiu-jitsu. So it's not just police officers who don't train. They train, you know what I mean? Right? My first Cops versus Stoners, High Rollers is notoriously sometimes, not always, they've gotten better, but especially 2 years ago, they were notoriously kind of non-reliable with the matchmaking. Sometimes everything was kind of up in the air, you know?
Gotcha.
And I'm messaging them and I'm like, hey guys, like I want to match on Cops versus Stoners. They're like, okay, we got you a 155 brown belt police officer. I'm like, cool, what's his name? They're like, don't worry about his name. We got you. Like, just show up. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why won't you tell me his name? But whatever. I show up to the venue and I'm like, hey guys, like I'm here for Cops versus Stoners. Who's my opponent? And they look on the paper and they're like, oh, come over here. We'll show you your opponent. They take me to the biggest guy in the room. He's 6'4" about and like 240 pounds. And they're like, oh, this is your opponent right here. I'm 155 pounds. And I'm like, what do you mean? You got to be joking. And they're like, I don't know what happened. There was a mess up. There was an error. I don't know how this happened. And the guy's like, yeah, you know, I'm like, I said it would be like 235, but I'm like 240 right now. Like, is that all right? And I'm like, dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm a brown belt too. So he's 240, active police officer, brown belt. And I'm like, what the hell, man? This is bullshit. Like, I'm probably gonna lose. And I went into that match literally thinking I was gonna lose, and I just wanted to put on a show. I was like, I'm just gonna have fun this match, you know. Like, I'm not meant to win this match, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna have fun. But I really didn't want to lose. At the same time, I was kind of thinking, like, I'm treating this match like if I lose this match, I'm gonna go to jail. And I don't want to go to jail, bro.
That's one hell of a way to fight.
You know? and also, man, I not to disrespect police officers or anything. I'm not going to say anything too bad about them.
No, I give you the full green light. I was a cop. My dad's a cop. Talk some shit.
You know, like people say not all cops are bad, and I agree with that. Not all people are bad, bro. But you can't say not all cops are bad when there's bad cops and the good, quote unquote, good cops say nothing about it. They're like a gang, bro.
Yeah.
You can't say that not all cops are bad when the quote-unquote good cops turn a blind eye on the bad cops.
And
like,
the ones that
back the blue, bro. Like, you know how many conspiracies and bad stuff has happened through corruption in the police?
Bro, I resigned from the police force because of the bad police.
Who polices the police, bro? There has to be
Nobody.
Nobody polices the police.
Bro, that's a true story. In 2018,
crazy, man.
I resigned with over a decade of experience with federal police time and because cops that were scumbags were getting cops like me who were good cops shot while they were sitting in their car. I didn't do anything and I got a family. So I literally I had to take my uniform off to drive home. And I'm like, you know, fuck it. I'll go do something else, man. I went and became a barber, went to video school. Like,
I'll say this too, man. If the war on drugs didn't exist, bro, I don't believe on the war on drugs. I think that you shouldn't go to jail. I don't think drugs should be legalized, but they should be decriminalized, and they should have harsh, you should be forced into treatment. You should be forced into treatment because treatment helps people more than jail. That's been proven. But the way they're doing it in certain places, like it's all fucked up, man.
Switzerland's
it's
on
a touchy subject. It's a really touchy subject, but there's no way around it, bro. People are always going to do drugs. You can't stop people from doing drugs. That's a fact. And the war on drugs is essentially the war on people, bro. The war on people, man. You're taking people that aren't really doing anything wrong. They have a problem, and you're putting them in jail, and you're creating bigger problems. So the war on drugs is the main reason why I have an issue with police. If the war on drugs didn't exist, then people would like police a lot of the time. You know, when the firefighters show up, nobody's afraid. The police show up, everybody's scattering, everybody's running.
Well, you said it perfectly. It's not all cops are bad, and it's not all people are bad. The problem is that good officers will not speak out against another officer doing the bad thing.
That's the main issue.
And I've been put in those positions where I'm like, you know, it's gonna, God, if I do say something like something small, I don't remember anything specific, but I remember it's like, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that snitch ass dude who's like in the department,
man. And I get
like
it.
You might get shot. So, but that's not the right thing. You got to do the right thing. You know,
all these things have they're touchy subjects, man. There's not really a good answer.
It's all a conspiracy.
But back to cops versus stoners, bro. I'm going out there against the guy. He's 240 pounds, brown belt, way bigger than me. I think I'm going to lose, but I really don't want to lose this match, bro. This is a big match to me. And so I go out there, and I pull guard right away. I entangle his legs, and I heel hook him within 28 seconds, dude. Like, shred his MCL, like, pretty bad. Like, pop his leg pretty bad. And as it's happening, I'm like almost hallucinating, dude. I'm like, I can't believe this is really happening like this, bro. This feels like a movie, man. Like, this guy's way bigger and stronger than me. He's a cop. He's a brown belt, and I just iced him in seconds.
That's so
and that
dope.
was kind of like I was known in the community before that, but that was what really skyrocketed me into the community, and really, that was when I was competing. After that, I was competing almost every single weekend. I really started to believe in myself after that competition. I was like, oh, wow, like, I know I'm good, but now I just proved it to myself that I'm really good, that I'm at this level, you know? Like, I just beat somebody who is also a brown belt, who's almost 100 pounds bigger than me, and I just iced him in like 28 seconds, you know what I mean? So after that, I started competing for high rollers all the time and had a really, really good track record in high rollers. I was beating a lot of black belts, beat a lot of guys. I'm not going to say any names, but I got a buggy choke on a really, really high level competitor that I was talking to you about earlier.
Okay.
And the buggy choke is like a submission a lot of people don't really respect. If you guys don't know what a buggy choke is, it's a very strange looking unorthodox submission from bottom side control that I've kind of built my name on because of that match as well. I buggy choked a really high level.
Can we see it?
Yeah.
Can we go to a wide shot?
YouTube.
You want to choke me out real quick?
Or you could choke me.
I could
Either one of us.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like.
For sure.
I've never heard of it before.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Let's
please,
go,
choke me
bro.
out, dude.
I'd love to put you on the buggy choke.
Let's do it.
Where can we do it at?
Just pull the table back. I'll
Let's
hold the mic up.
go, bro. Oh, I'm so excited. Buggy choke, bro. Shout out to Renee Souza. Buggy choke the world. Give me in side control. Side control.
There you go.
All right, side control like this. Yep. Whoa, he's got me in side control. I'm in a bad spot, right? I'm gonna reach over your head, and a lot of the times right here, you'll grab your hands because you think you have a side choke, and you'll pull me in tight, right? Exactly. If my arm goes up here, I'm gonna get choked. So I put my arm against his neck, and I brace down like this. This stops my arm from getting pushed up and keeps him in this little spot. And now I bring my knee around his shoulder, and I punch through right here. Now he's trapped in my lat. If I lean and I squeeze, my knee compresses his head. Look how my knee pulls into his head, and my lat pushes in. It's almost like a triangle choke from bottom side control. Boom, I get a choke right there.
So it's a head and arm choke?
It's a head and arm choke. It's like a triangle choke from bottom side control. Exactly, yeah.
Holy shit.
It'll be right here. It happens quickly. I frame the hip. I turn over. Boom. He's in my buggy choke now. Now I just lean right there. If I locked it here, boom.
Jesus. Holy smokes.
It's a very tight
That's a cool
choke.
choke.
It's a very, very tight choke. It's changing the entire jiu-jitsu world right now. Sorry for choking you so many times. I just realized
Great.
I just made him tap like 10 times in a row. Sorry about that,
No, it's all
brother.
good, Roma Savage. No, that's awesome. When you said buggy, I was like, I need to feel it. You know,
It's like
I need to experience it.
it's breaking all the rules in jiu-jitsu. You're in a bad position. You're in bottom side control. The guy on top is doing everything right. He's got his underhook.
yeah, I would have
He's got
went
his
for a head
position.
and arm choke or
Head
tried
and
to like
arm
get
choke.
a mount or.
Yep.
Yeah, or
I would have
I
probably
went to
went
like
for mount.
or an arm bar.
I didn't go too deep into it, but you can't mount me because I bring my knee to your hip. I bring my knee to your hip, so you can't enter.
Yeah, there was no. I could not get knee to belly or anything.
Yeah. If you go knee on belly before I lock it, that's the defense.
So quickly posture up and get knee on belly.
When you feel me reaching for that bullshit, bro, you gotta pop up on your surfboard. You gotta get up. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Jiu-jitsu doesn't work, bro. Just stand up.
Just stand up.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Just hit him with a base.
Lewis, bro. Go to JSU. That's his.
You saw that clip?
Bro. Just stand up.
Just stand up. So what's next for you, man?
Like I said, I think I'm trying to do high rollers, short term. That's in San Diego next month, and then after that, I'm really trying to get back into MMA. I'm trying to fight MMA again as soon as possible. I'm gonna have a fight before the end of the year. Knock on wood.
Let's go.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been working hard with Jake Shields. He's taking me under his wing, and
shout out to Jake. He's a legend.
Shout out to Jake Shields.
San Francisco.
Love him on Twitter.
You know,
the realest
Bay Area
I ever met, bro. How funny is he, dude?
Especially on Twitter, dude. I just follow him for the tweets.
I've been a fan of him
so
since
funny,
I'm closer to their age. I've been following him. And my wife was born in San Francisco. Bay Area is huge. 209 out there. 707. I was just there for almost 5 years. Like that's home for me.
He just called out like a transgender wrestler or some shit, and like they're supposed to have a match. He's like, oh, like
Fight Circus. Have you heard of Fight Circus? They can do it at Fight Circus.
Oh, dude, I'll tell him.
And the guy that owns Fight Circus, I will be sitting with on the podcast Friday.
That was Jake's last post. He was like, I didn't expect to come out of retirement like this. And they're like, I don't know, did you guys see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Fight Circus, they do in Thailand. They do like 2 chicks on one transgender,
or they'll do like you versus somebody who's like a dwarf.
Yeah, you versus a dwarf.
Go, bro.
I'll send it to you.
Up.
But the guy that runs it is coming here because Thailand, they don't really have any like athletic commissions.
Yeah.
They just say, two people want to fight. All right, let them
Let's
fight.
go.
So are there any when you're what is the goal? Is the UFC the goal?
Yes, definitely the UFC is the goal. That's my goal in my athletic career anyway. My long-term goal, or what I'm going to do no matter what happens in my life, is I'm going to open up my own 10th planet somewhere down the line. I'm trying to figure out a location on like what town I want to open up in.
Centennial Hills.
Yeah, maybe. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. But
Hell yeah.
I kind of want to get out of Las Vegas, to be honest, man. It's kind of a...
Dude, I'm from Jersey, the Jersey Shore.
I don't really want to raise.
I get it.
I don't have any kids, bro, but I don't really want to raise my kids here. If I do have kids, you know what I mean? It's not the best town to raise kids in, not the best city, in my opinion.
Well, what you want, maybe Colorado, somewhere it's not too humid.
Yeah,
has
that's
more
my problem
seasons.
too, bro. I'm so pussy when it comes to cold. I hate the cold. I get cold so easy.
We're desert
man.
rats. Like we
I'm
don't
a
like
desert
the
He's
cold.
from here too.
Yeah, I was born and raised here too. I mean, I raised my kid here. He's 4, but I agree with that
There's
sentiment.
worse places to
There are worse places, but
There's
like
way worse
because I'm
places.
assuming Clark County School District as well.
Dude, the Clark County.
Yeah,
School
it's
District
awful.
is
I'll have to introduce you
terrible.
to George back there. He was a teacher there up until a couple last year. He's our age though, so
We're like
he gets
the worst in the nation or something.
Yeah, we're always teetering on like 49 or 50.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So you guys all probably know some of the same. If you guys are the same age and you're both from Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, what school did you go to?
Basic high school, 2014.
So you graduated 2 years before me. So I'm 25. I went to Cheyenne.
Okay.
I wrestled out of Cheyenne, but I graduated in 2016.
Nice.
So yeah,
Jesus.
pretty close.
We probably know some people. Yeah.
Probably.
It's a small town, man.
Well, hey, so I spoke to Eric Nixick, and of course we could get all the champs and the pro, and I will. But this is a marathon for me, and it's a real journey that I love. So I enjoy talking to people that are on the come up. And we'll talk offline, but like I told Eric personally, like before I asked for Strickland and all these champs, and like, is there any other people that I could talk to help boost them a little bit in their career? So I look forward to talking. Jiu-jitsu is kind of like, I think I might have been a black belt in my last life.
I believe it.
That's how I feel.
I believe it.
That's the laziest thing I've ever said. But I really appreciate you coming. I want to stay in contact, and
yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on today,
absolutely,
man. I had
dude.
a great time here.
Yeah, we do a lot here. We do some like MMA Junkie will come in.
Yeah, MMA Junkie Radio. I
Nice.
somewhat produce their show. We do like the pay-per-views. They do it live from here.
Okay.
So we do
Yeah, we're gonna
those. But
start
we just had
doing
Rich
some-
Franklin in. We've had Ben Askren in. We had a lot of all the PFL
Misha
champions.
Tate was in here with O'Day.
Misha Tate.
Nice.
So there's a lot of-
Jamal Hill was just in
Yeah.
here. Brandon Moreno does his show out
I've
of
seen
here.
Brandon
So,
Moreno was in here.
yeah.
But I look forward to your career. I got your back too. I'm from Jersey. I will gladly talk shit to your opponent from the stand. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Jordan,
before I go, can I put out some shout outs real quick?
Please.
So
let them rip.
Shout out to Hardin Cannabis Dispensary, the best dispensary in Las Vegas. They treat me great, man. They have the cleanest facility in town, the best products. Go to Hardin if you're in Las Vegas. Get some really good weed. That's the place to go. Shout out to Eddie Bravo and Coach Casey and Jake Shields, my coaches. And shout out to Next Level app. It's an app that's on the come up right now. It's getting into the MMA community. It's gonna be way better than LinkedIn. It's gonna be a way for you to connect with athletes way better than any other social media has been allowing them to yet. They're gonna have exclusive content there. They're gonna have all the links, anything you could possibly need for your favorite athletes. It's gonna be a really good website. So I'm on board with them. I'm gonna start posting some exclusive stuff to there. It's called the Next Level app. So shout out to them as well.
Hell yeah! Shout out to all those sponsors. We're also going to be hitting up people for some sponsors here pretty soon as well.
Awesome.
I wanted to end it with this. Proper 12, I'm holding this today because Conor McGregor's Netflix special came out, Forever McGregor, today. And I look forward to him coming back and fighting Michael Chandler. Thank you, brother. Austin, I appreciate you as well. Good luck on your jiu-jitsu journey.
Thank you.
And Fight Junkeez, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for listening, viewing, and I just appreciate everybody, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Later.